Press the bell icon and never miss an update from ETAuto.
Hello and welcome to ETAuto. We have here with us Mr. Rahil Ansari, Managing Director, Audi India. Audi is one of the leading luxury car manufacturer globally, and they have been trying to establish themselves in India on the top. Rahil, one of the youngest CEO and Managing Director for the brand, has been trying to fix things together for the last few months. Let's check what has been their status. How are they gearing up for the spot they have been looking at?
Hello, first of all, I guess it's a difficult year, it's a challenging year, but it's actually good for us to set things right. I think we've taken the year also in a positive spirit to do our homework for the next 12 to 24 months that are coming up. That's something which we're very much looking forward to. A lot of new product launches will come up in the next 12 to 24 months, as I said. So one of those things, of course, that I always love to talk about is electric mobility with the e-tron that will be globally presented on the 17th of September.
When I heard that you have a strong plan for electric vehicles, also probably e-tron is going to come to India, how long we have to wait to see that?
So that's a good question. The initial plan was to launch it until 2020 latest. I guess the infrastructure is now getting a little bit accelerated, so that looks very promising. So when I said latest, I mean that we can launch the EV already in 2019, and if the infrastructure is right, we will definitely also launch it in 2019 because our dealer network is ready. Partners are ready to do it, of course, with a fantastic car. And of course also we have trained our manpower internally. Externally, of course, with our dealer partners will also do it.
What are the key strategy to come back? Because now your two other German rivals have taken number 1, number 2 spots. Audi used to be at a very good position in India. How do you think that when you will be able to revive back, and what are the strategy? How are you going to plan your product? Is there a new segment that you are trying out?
See, the luxury segment or the automotive segment in India is very cyclic. So you have a lot of product life cycles, which of course decide also the volume. Let's put it this way in the segment. Since we have a couple of cars that are older in the product life cycle, we will of course also launch new cars soon. So one part is the product for sure, where we will strike back. The other thing is, of course, while we're number 3, we're not only looking at numbers. For us, it's really important that you can that you have a sustainable growth with the dealer partners.
So when you talk about products, what kind of shift are you going to make in product strategy, and a new segment that you are going to explore, or how is it going to be? How are you trying to launch your offensive?
So there for us 3 pillars. One is new body types. We started actually last year with the A5. There will be new body types coming in without telling already too much. Of course, you saw a shift to the Q range already, to sedans, from sedans to SUVs. So SUVs are taking over, while earlier it was a clear shift towards sedans. A few years back, still 60 to 40 or even 70 to 30. It's now equally at a split of 50-50%, and we see the SUVs taking over, which means 40 to 60 is the expectation level, which also means that we're going to launch more SUVs in the segment. And the third one is, of course, alternative fuels, as I mentioned earlier. So electric mobility is one of those. Plus, we will have a larger focus on petrol, which we have seen because initially the diesel split was very high, and now a lot more customers are preferring the petrols. So we had that dual strategy in place anyways, and we will also push it a little further and bring in more petrol engines.
So when you talk about body type, I feel that it is going to be more towards SUV or closer to that body type. That's what you're saying.
Actually, no. It will be a different body type. I know you're very curious about it. But let me put it this way. There's, of course, a discussion happening on FPUs possibly being imported without homologation in India. If that regulation will be confirmed, we can, of course, try out a couple of more body types in the entry segment, for example, so below the existing range that we have for the moment, to see how the customer reaction is. So once that is looking promising or successful for us.
Do
we
you
can
want to
look at
target
localizing it.
segments like A segment and B
Yeah.
segment, which your rivals have? Uh, uh,
A segment.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Mercedes has A class, B class. Do you want to cater to that?
See that in these areas we are already. Let's put it this way. I guess um, where we are at the moment with that product portfolio, it's okay. But I guess you need to expand that product
So
portfolio.
you will go down further.
We will go down and we'll go up. So
Okay,
that's the
both
strategy.
both way. So that is the
So up,
strategy.
if I talk about up, then I mean up.
Okay, so can you give a bit more insight into it?
So let's put it this way. I mean, everyone is awaiting the A8. For us, it's very clear the A8 is the ultimate luxury car. So that car will come. And without already, I can of course announce it already also, but the Q8 will also come to India. I guess it's something which is very much a segment that's interesting because the Q7 is doing extremely well. So a Q8 will definitely also do well in India.
When do we expect Q8 coming? How long will it take?
That I will not confirm now.
So there seems to be a strong focus towards SUV across segment, be it luxury or the mass segment. For you, how the ratio is going to be in terms of SUVs versus sedan or other category?
See, I think there will be a stronger focus on SUVs because that's a preference also of the customers as we see. That could also be a little bit of a mixture of a crossover in that direction because customers, they like to sit a little higher in India, so they also prefer that presence on the road. I think we've done extremely well on this, especially because we have been the first ones to cater to this segment with the Q7 earlier 12 years back already, and subsequently with the Q5 and with the Q3.
How do you see this year putting you in Indian market?
See, this year, as I said, it's a bit of a challenge for us, especially one, of course, is the product part of it, but that's not the biggest challenge. Of course, we had also some topics in the network that we had to address. We're doing this. We're, of course, also looking for new dealer partners in certain cities to ramp up the growth for us. Plus, of course, the unit budget was not very favorable. We had very low stock available within the dealerships as well as at the importer level within Audi India. That also meant that we had to increase prices much earlier as opposed to maybe other manufacturers.
So how are you looking at localization plan in India? Do you want to further go local because that will probably help you in cost competitiveness?
See, localization, we have a clear cut-off responsibility. So in terms of localization, the plant is in charge of this, so you need to ask them in terms of the plans of localization. I can tell you as much that in case taxes are made more favorable for us, we will of course also look at investing more in India because that will also make luxury cars more accessible, which means if you make them more accessible, we are able to sell more. We will of course have more products coming in that would also mean more investment happening in terms of production, but then also expanding the network and subsequently also hiring more people.
How your group parent company looks at India, because in the past we have seen that there has been some reluctance when it comes to investment in India. How the situation is right now at Volkswagen Group, your parent company?
So Volkswagen Group, well, I will not comment on Volkswagen Group, but I can comment on is
Do you think you are getting required support in terms of investment? Are they still bullish on Indian market?
So I comment on Audi AG. Audi AG as a headquarters, they are of course very much focused on India. And I always love to give that example because with the amount that we were selling, so last year it was 7,876 cars. Normally you would not get the attention with a lot of markets in the world with that amount being sold because it's from a volume perspective a very small amount as opposed to the global volume. But at the same time, the board members are very focused on the Indian market and see that as a strategic market because we know that the Indian market has a growth potential. So yes, we get the support. Of course, we are always fighting to get more. That's part of the job and that's part of the nature, but I guess that's something which is very good.
Thank you, Rahil, for talking to you. Wish you all the very best for your targets and you achieved number one again. Thank you.
Thanks.